Have you ever found yourself questioning the narratives surrounding Black culture and heritage, particularly in the context of the African American experience? Or perhaps you've pondered the ways in which mainstream media and education systems may have misrepresented these vital aspects of identity. Prepare to embark on a journey of revelation and introspection as we explore Kevin Hart's eye-opening discourse, How They Lied to Me About Africa and Black Culture. In this candid exploration, Hart unveils the layers of deception and distortion that have shaped perceptions of Blackness, challenging audiences to confront uncomfortable truths and embrace a more nuanced understanding of their cultural heritage. But what led Hart to shine a light on these discrepancies with such fervor? And what implications does his revelation hold for the future of Black representation and empowerment? Join us as we delve into Hart's poignant narrative, igniting conversations that resonate far beyond the confines of race and geography. And don't forget to hit that like button to show your support for this important discourse. Share with your community to keep the conversation alive, and subscribe to stay tuned for more thought-provoking content as we continue to dismantle falsehoods and amplify authentic voices. Your engagement is crucial in fostering a more inclusive and enlightened society. As a journalist, it was not uncommon for me to attend press conferences and interviews featuring famous celebrities. So when I received an invitation to attend a press conference by none other than the hilarious and talented comedian Kevin Hart, I was thrilled. But what I didn't know was that this press conference would be different than all the others I had attended before. Kevin had recently made headlines for his statement about the media and their portrayal of Africa and Black culture. He said, "They don't show the beautiful picture of Johannesburg. They don't show a beautiful picture of Cape Town on the media. Durban, I've never seen anything beautiful about Durban where people show things in the media. They're always shown in the negative light." The audience, used to seeing Kevin as a joker, sat in silence, hanging on every word he said. When something about Africa is talked about, it's normally bad, it's normally violent, it's normally something about the country or a disease, broken. "It's never good," Kevin continued, his voice growing stronger and more passionate with every sentence. He went on to explain how our perception is often shaped by what the media wants us to believe. So your perception is what people have forced you to believe. He shared how he was hesitant to visit Africa because of the negative images and stories he had seen on the news. "So, until you get the heart to go, I'm going. I want to see for myself." You don't know. "So, all I know is what the news says. So in my mind, I'm like, hey man, I'm not trying to go over there and get kidnapped. I'm saying from what I've seen," Kevin stated, voicing a concern that many people may have when considering a trip to Africa. "But then I go and I see an amazing city, and I'm blown away. Why not show us the amazing stuff that's over here? So when we get here, we see for ourselves, and then our senses are enhanced," he pointed out, his voice filled with frustration. Kevin passionately expressed how the media's portrayal of Africa and its people is often inaccurate and does a disservice to the beautiful, diverse, and vibrant continent. "Where not only we want to come back, but we want to come back. We want to be involved with things that you have going on. But until we get the hardest, the artist, and we spread that rumor out, we don't know," he stated, emphasizing the need for a change in the media's narrative. As the interview went on, Kevin shared his experiences in Africa and how he was welcomed with open arms and thoroughly enjoyed his time there. He urged the audience to visit and see for themselves the amazing things that Africa has to offer. "To be honest, we're a community. That's how I ended up coming over," Kevin concluded, referring to the sense of community and belonging he felt during his trip. "I know Nicki, I know Beyonce, I know Jay-Z," Kevin continued, "and all I talk to him, hey guys, is there anything to worry about? Should I get these shots?" His words sounded almost desperate, and it was clear that he had been struggling internally with a dilemma. You see, Kevin had been invited to Africa to promote his movie and perform for the fans. But as soon as he received the invitation, he was bombarded with warnings and concerns from those around him. They told him to get vaccinated, to get shots for diseases that he may encounter in Africa. It was the scariest thing in the world, Kevin confessed emotionally, as he recounted the encounter he had with a doctor just before his trip. I walked into a doctor's office, and the doctor was convincing me that he needed to give me the disease first. Kevin's eyes widened as he remembered the moment. I'm going to give you this shot. Put the disease in you so when you get there, you'll be okay, the doctor had said. But I don't have it yet, Kevin protested. That's why I'm going to give it to you so when you get it, you'll be okay, the doctor responded matter-of-factly. For Kevin, this was a huge red flag. He couldn't understand why he needed to be given a disease that he didn't even have. I'm not lying. Like I literally called several people, he said, trying to justify his concerns. I had people track down people that were from Cape Town, from Johannesburg, and I talked to them. He had been desperate for answers, desperate to know the truth about Africa and the dangers that supposedly lurked there. But to his surprise, he received reassurance from his African friends and acquaintances. Am I going to get bit by a mosquito and not be able to come back? Kevin had asked one of them in a moment of uncertainty. Kevin, what are you talking about? You sound ignorant, they had responded, shocked by his question. No, you don't need nothing like that, they had assured him. It's the same. You're going to come over and you're going to be shocked. His friends in Africa were just as shocked as he was by the misconceptions surrounding Africa and its people. But Kevin couldn't help but wonder why he had been fed these lies and misconceptions about Africa and black culture. I know, but they said I need shots. Do I need these shots? He had asked his friends. No, but I'm repeating what I've heard. I'm repeating what the media has forced me to believe, he concluded, shaking his head in disbelief. He started to recall his trip to South Africa, how he had initially been hesitant to go due to the negative representation of Africa in the media. So now that I'm here, I'm like, this is ridiculous. I don't need this, I'm fine, he said, referring to the stereotype of Africa as a poverty-stricken and dangerous place. Hart went on to express his frustration with the media, stating that they have the power to shape people's perceptions and that they often only focus on the negative aspects of a place. You had the chance to put out the positive side of where you are and where you live, but instead it's the negative that gets pushed out, he said. He explained how the media's portrayal of Africa and African American culture influences society's perception. My perception is what you made it. That's really the reality. And that's what the media never understands. They look and go, why do you do this? I do this because you did it. It started with you, he stated. Hart went on to give the example of the media's coverage of the hip-hop culture, which is often seen as negative and violent. He emphasized that the media only amplifies these negative aspects, but they fail to acknowledge where it originates from. It started with you, the media. We don't get stuff from nowhere, we grab it from the media, and then the state's going to amplify it. But where did it start? He questioned. As he continued to delve into the topic, Hart's words resonated with the audience. He reminded us that as individuals, we have the power to shape our own perceptions and not be influenced by the media's portrayal of a place or culture. He also emphasized the importance of traveling and experiencing different cultures firsthand. The beauty of traveling is that you realize that there are similarities in every place you go. Regardless of where you are, you have good parts and bad parts, he said. Hart then spoke about how his trip opened his eyes to the diversity and complexity of the country. He shared that he was able to see both the good and bad sides and could relate to both. All it did was make me say, you know what, this needs to be something that's now on my list to do, he said, indicating his desire to explore and learn more about different cultures and places. Kevin then touched upon the power of media and how it can shape one's perception of a place or culture. The same way of my perception of what South Africa would be was blurred because the media it just shows how media can twist and alter things that don't exist, he said, emphasizing the detrimental effect that biased and stereotypical media coverage can have on people's perceptions. After coming to South Africa and experiencing it for himself, Kevin acknowledged that his perception was debunked. After coming here now, I know that I can once again, I'm telling you when I really did not know what to expect, he said. His words reflected an honest realization and a newfound appreciation for the country and its people. They lied to me about Africa and black culture, Kevin bluntly stated, summarizing his thoughts on the matter. He then proceeded to analyze his own speech, saying, that doesn't mean what to expect as a city. It's me saying for people. I didn't know the reception. I didn't know how I'll be received here. Kevin's introspection and honesty in admitting his own misconceptions and biases were admirable. His speech shed light on the harmful effects of media bias and challenged the mainstream perception of Africa and Black culture. By sharing his personal experience, Kevin was able to break down stereotypes and show that Africa is a diverse and beautiful continent with welcoming and hospitable people. His words also highlighted the importance of traveling and experiencing different cultures firsthand to truly understand and appreciate them. Kevin's trip to South Africa not only broadened his perspective, but also allowed him to connect with people and cultures that he may have previously overlooked or misunderstood. The press conference ended, and as I made my way out, I couldn't help but feel in awe of Kevin Hart. Not only did he make us laugh, but he also left a lasting impact with his powerful message. He had used his platform to challenge the lies and stereotypes that have been ingrained in our society for far too long. This was not just about a celebrity sharing his views, but it was a call to action. Kevin's words had sparked a conversation that needed to be had, and it was up to each one of us to continue this dialogue and do our part in reshaping the narrative around Africa and the Black culture. As I left the venue, I couldn't help but think that this press conference was not just about Kevin Hart. It was about all of us. It was about acknowledging our preconceived notions, challenging them, and believing in the power of truth and unity. As Kevin Hart had said, we are more than what they tell us we are, and it's time we start telling our own stories. Growing up, I had always been a fan of the media. I would watch TV shows and read magazines, fascinated by the glamorous lives of celebrities and the latest fashion trends. But I never realized the impact the media had on my perception of the world, particularly when it came to Africa and Black culture. The media had always portrayed Africa as a continent plagued by poverty and disease, with a population that was primitive and backwards. But as I read about the rich history, diverse cultures, and achievements of African civilizations, I realized that this image was far from the truth. One particular incident that stood out to me was when my professor showed us a documentary about the Ashanti people of Ghana. The documentary highlighted their advanced social and political systems, their beautiful artwork and architecture, and their role in the transatlantic slave trade. I was amazed by how little I knew about this part of Africa and how it was never shown in the media. As I continued my studies, I discovered the reasons behind the media's portrayal of Africa. It was all about ratings and sensationalism. Showing the negative side of the continent and its people was more profitable than showing the truth. But the consequences of this bias were far-reaching. It perpetuated harmful stereotypes and hindered the progress and development of African countries. But the media's lies didn't stop there. It also played a huge role in shaping my perception of Black culture. Growing up, I had been bombarded with images of Black women as hypersexualized objects and Black men as violent criminals. It wasn't until I started college and met people from different backgrounds that I realized how harmful these stereotypes were. I remember one particular incident when I was discussing an upcoming trip to Africa with a group of friends. One of my friends, who was of African descent, mentioned how excited she was to visit her home country and reconnect with her roots. Another friend, who was white, made a snide remark about how she was worried about gun-wielding warlords and rampant disease. I was taken aback by her comment and felt ashamed of my ignorance. I later apologized to my friend and realized how my perceptions had been shaped by the media's lies and stereotypes. As I continued my studies, I came across the theory of representation, which states that the media has the power to shape our perceptions of different cultures and groups. The media's portrayal of the Black community as criminals and the glorification of European beauty standards had a direct impact on how society perceived and treated Black individuals. This was evident in the racial profiling and discrimination faced by Black people in their everyday lives. But amidst all these lies and negativity, I also learned about the beauty and resilience of the Black community. I read about the civil rights movements, the Black Panther Party, and the contributions of Black leaders and activists to society. I was in awe of their strength and determination to fight against oppression and injustice. I began to realize how important it was to break away from the media's narrative and form my own opinions. I started seeking out alternative sources of information and amplifying Black voices. I also made an effort to educate myself and unlearn the harmful stereotypes that I had been exposed to. Through my journey, I also came to understand the importance of representation in the media. Seeing people who looked like me in positions of power and influence gave me a sense of empowerment, and representation matters. It is crucial for the media to portray a diverse and accurate representation of all cultures and communities in order to combat harmful stereotypes and promote understanding and acceptance. Today, as a young adult, I am grateful for my journey towards understanding how the media lied to me about Africa and Black culture. It has opened my eyes to the power of media and the responsibility it holds in shaping our perceptions of the world. I am proud to be part of a generation that challenges the status quo and strives for a more inclusive and diverse media landscape. And most importantly, I praise the Black community for their resilience, strength, and beauty, and I pledge to continue to support and uplift them in any way I can.